Hey, world schooling and traveling families. Are you or someone you know planning for Italy this spring? Join us on the vibrant streets of southern Italy at our Naples World School pop-up hub from April 27th to May 3rd. We'll explore ancient aqueducts, wander the art-filled Spanish quarters, and take epic trips to Pompeii. It's the perfect chance to build community and travel buddies while soaking up the local culture. Ready to join us? Head over to the Facebook group to check the latest kid counts, ask questions, and connect with other families. I can't wait to see you all in Naples this April. Get ready to redefine what home can actually look like. I'm joined by Elodie Ferchaud, a mom of 4 and the visionary co-founder of Boundless Life. We're peeling back the curtain on a global movement that helps families live, work, and learn in world school hubs across the world. From the emotional waves of third culture kids to the divide and conquer logistics of parenting 4 kids while launching an international business in Japan, Elodie shares the raw challenges of family judgment and the massive wins of sibling bonding on the road. Listen to the end to find out the simple IKEA hack that makes your kids feel at home in each new location and the stinky Japanese delicacy that every traveler should try at least once. Welcome to the Wander World School podcast. I'm Susie, a travel-loving money nerd, mom of 2, and on this show we discuss the stories, logistics, and finances of traveling families and the many ways to learn along the way. Today we get to know Elodie Ferchaud. Please tell me more about you and your family and where you're located right now.
Thank you, Susie. I'm currently in Japan. Been here. It's one of my happy places. I have quite a few happy places on this beautiful planet. I'm originally from France. Have been hopping around the world now for the past 15 years with the family. So it's been a really fun adventure. My partner is Swedish, and the girls, when I ask them where they're from, they're saying that they're from the world. So that's really the spirit in the family. For quite some time now, we're really embracing this life on the go and just discovering new cultures, something we've loved to do.
And I do like to even take it back before family travels and even before your role with Boundless Life, which we'll get into all that. I'd love to hear more about where your love for travel started.
I love that. That's a great question. I was lucky enough to be born in a family with 2 parents who were teachers. And in France, teachers get 2 months of vacation during the summer. And there was not much money, but there was a big love for exploration and culture in general. They were both music teachers. And so every summer, we would go for a month. Every single summer. We would take the car and the tent and we would just go out there. I think we've been pretty much to all European countries. And for me, that was the best time of the year. I just loved it. I loved being on the go. I loved traveling. And the epiphany was, I think, when my parents decided to welcome a girl from the US, Christine, who lived in our family for a year. And I was 15. At the time, she was 16. That was like really a big revelation. Suddenly, different culture coming into our family entity. We got really close. I got to spend time then in the US as well with her. From that time, I told myself, I will want to live around the world. My partner will not be French and my kids will speak multiple languages. And that was kind of the roadmap towards family life. And so forever grateful for my parents to have injected that really, really early in me.
And I think you brought up some really good points that the teacher schedule really can open up so many opportunities to take advantage of those summer breaks. And this is also where people from the US or Canada can be very jealous of people that grew up in Europe just with the proximity and the ease. My husband grew up in Germany, so his vacations growing up looked a lot different than mine from Colorado. That's one reason we spend time in Spain now, because we love having these opportunities. It sounds like you had an early intention to incorporate travel into your life. And then you mentioned your partner is from Sweden. Your kids are growing up learning multiple languages as citizens of the world. What has travel looked like as a family?
So it has changed quite a bit over the years. So I have 4 kids, 11, 9, 7, and I have a 10 months old baby now. We used to be more of a traditional expat family. We were hopping around every 2-3 years. We lived in Japan, we lived in the UK, we lived in Sweden, and then we would also travel in between. But we had really a very stable base. It's just that base was moving every 2-3 years. And then we got this intense sadness when we were leaving a place, right? So it was big goodbyes, and we kind of knew that we would not come back. And I think that's where partially like some of the idea around also Boundless came in. It was this idea of like, we want to come back to places. Like there are some places we really love. And so why do we actually, need to live in one place for a full year? Why don't we actually chop it off and move around? And so that's what we started to do. With Boundless, having like those 3 month blocks where we can really enjoy a place, see how that feels, and then move to the next one and potentially come back while having still that form of continuity. So that's what we've done with the family for the past 4 years now. We started Boundless exactly 4 years ago, February 2022. We've just been hopping around every 3 months, and we don't have any home base. We're just like, our home is where we are together as a family, and we move around and often come back to some places. Greece and Japan are for us some of the places that we go back to regularly. I'm feeling very lucky for that. And I think it gives kind of routine to the girls, which is important. Places that they learn to love, but also they love being on the road and just discovering new places.
I love it. With your kids, because this is all they've known, especially the bigger kids, the older kids. What has their experience been like? I'd also like to know what education has looked like for you and your family, and languages.
A lot of interesting topics. When it comes to like how the kids are going through the adventure, I think it's been really interesting to see, first of all, how their perception or their personality gives a different light to the experience, but also their ages. So they've been evolving. My oldest is absolutely loving it. Like she was calling herself a digital nomad like for the first 3 years, and that's who she was, and she loved being on the go. And now recently in the last year, like there's been a little bit of, I want to slow down and I want to stay in one place. And now here again, we're back in, and now she's almost 12. She's like, okay, now I would love to go back on the road. And my second one was the opposite. It was really hard at the beginning, and then it grew into her. Like she started learning to love it. At least as a mother, what this taught me is always being in touch with our children and where they at the different points in time. It might not be the right thing for everyone all the time, and that's okay. Life is never perfect, but it does teach you as a parent and as a family unit also to have conversations around it. And I think that's really what matters, is kind of those regular check-ins. Like that's what we do. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How can I help you? Sometimes it's amazing and sometimes it's less. Like it's a big roller coaster of emotions like life. But I think the world schooling journey is just amplifying those emotions, I think, in a beautiful way. Sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, but it's a lot of fun. And that links to the education piece, which is for me, like you need to figure out constants across the adventure. So the kids have those kind of safety nets or stability cushions. And for me, education is one of them, as well as the family unit. So I think like for us being 6, it's a very solid pack. So it actually helps. I think for bigger families, it's actually easier to travel, but also the education program. And that's why we created Boundless, just having that consistency throughout the adventures really makes the kids land much faster. And often, I think I've been talking to so many families, there is this worry about how are the kids going to go through it? Are they going to be, like, is it going to be hard for them? And I'm often saying, like, I think your kids are actually going to do just fine, but for you, it might be harder. The parents are always very worried about the kids, and the kids are usually adjusting very, very quickly. The interesting piece, and we've been studying that because we have one of our team members who is an expert in TCK, third culture kids. You have different emotional waves through transition, obviously, like up and downs. What's interesting is that the parent and the kids' waves are opposite. So kids are basically much faster adjusting, also disconnecting from the adventure. So maybe the last week before you leave a place, for the kids, it's drama. The parents haven't realized yet because they're still packing and there is so much logistics. And usually for the parents, it's the week after. So you, again, need to be hyper perceptive to those emotions as a family, I think, as you're traveling.
Give your family the ultimate travel tool, the gift of language. Preply's one-on-one native speaking tutors make world schooling more immersive and fun, fitting perfectly into your busy travel schedule. Whether you're preparing for Spain or Japan, start talking today. I've been using Preply for years with great success. Use the link in the show notes to get 70% off your first lesson. I love the idea of tapping into those rhythms, like you mentioned, the rhythms of families. And when you're on a consistent 3-month rotation of moving, you can start to pick up which kids are going to settle in very quickly, which ones need a little bit more time, and then anticipate, okay, we're getting towards the end of our cohort. Now, what does that look like for each of our family? Tell me a little bit more about what language looks like in your family.
Languages is tough. For us, it's chaotic. Okay, I wish I had the very polished answer and we figured it all out and my kids are trilingual. That's not true. Still, the main language of the family is English because that's the language we speak together with Hannes. I've always spoken French with the kids, so it's been always very important for me that they understand the language. All 3 of them understand, and I've been very consistent speaking with them in French. Now, kids are smart and they quickly figure out what you can understand as an adult or not. So that's why still English is the sisterhood language. And it's also the language in the Boundless education centers. So that's what they picked up on. But I think what we've tried to do is to keep some element of fun around our own languages. And that has worked pretty well now for our oldest, who is actually the most trilingual of all 3. And there is actually some research also around like the oldest one being generally better with languages. She can navigate very, very well between the 3. And also because we've made sure that she would spend quality time with her grandparents in France, in Sweden. I'm generally going to France without my partner so that also there is more language immersion. We're going to a camping place because I want them to play with French kids, but it's not optimal. Like they're not trilingual. Now they are curious about languages and culture in general, and I think that's definitely been driven by all those travels. And when we go in the different Boundless locations, they have like some light immersion on language, etc. And that's something they're super curious about. You can feel a desire to connect with people who don't speak the same language. But I haven't been the strict. I think that might be something that I would do slightly differently if I had to restart it all again.
I think language learning is an ongoing process, even as an adult. I'm in Spain taking Spanish classes, and it feels like I'm a kid again, trying to even speak basic sentences and also seeing progress, which is very inspiring to be like, wait, I can actually read things that a year or 2 ago were tricky. And there's no right or wrong path. But, I think giving kids a foundation early on and exposure is what travel can provide for us. Much easier than if we're in one static location where there's not that daily incentive that, hey, there are other languages out there that are worth learning.
Yeah. And I think it's for them also to realize the benefits of bridging and connecting with others. I think when kids realize at an early age that this can really open doors for them in terms of like connections, then suddenly it's about the why. Like giving a reason to learn is really also is important. So it's the love for learning, but it's also the reason to learn. And when you're on the road, suddenly it makes so much sense, right? Because when you're able to talk to a Japanese lady in the shop and then you can feel the spark and the connection that suddenly makes this moment so special goes a long way, definitely.
I'd love to touch on what a typical day looks like for you because you are mothering 4 children of various ages. You work with Boundless. You, I'm sure, have other personal and family obligations. What helps you balance all those important aspects of your life?
For me, what is important is establishing a form of routine. That's what just helps me to manage it all. That's one. The second one is support network. And the third one is making sure that I carve out, like there are some non-negotiable moments during my day. Like there are moments that are dedicated to things. The kids, myself, my partner, those are dedicated spots. So a typical day will be like being woken up by my lovely 10 months old baby, the time with the family around breakfast is really important. So the mornings are always together as a family. Girls go to school and I will start my day of work. So that's like my 9 to 3, which is like fully dedicated to work. And then my 3 to 5 is dedicated to the girls. So this was like one of my biggest frustration when I was running in the wheel back in London in my previous life. It was to never be able to pick up the girls and to only see them at 6, 7 when they were tired, hungry, and we couldn't even connect. 3 to 5 is magical. It's like the moment they just get out of school, they're still full of energy. They want to share. They want to talk. We walk back home. It's just so much presence and everyone is in it and happy. It's beautiful. And then I restart working 5 to 7. Then we have dinner together. And then now it's 9 o'clock and I will have work until 11 p.m. And that's fine because I had this 3 to 5 that was precious with the family. The second point is support network. So at the moment, we're in Japan for a little bit longer because my son is very, very young. So we're traveling less frequently. And so we have an au pair who is helping us with the baby. So that really gives me like the space at least to focus on work. So that's really critical. And then I try to carve out also a little bit of time just in the morning, sometimes to do, 2-3 times a week to have some moment to exercise. Otherwise, I lose my mind. So that kind of routine and trying to stick to it, I think is the way to manage it. Because you can quickly feel overwhelmed by everything that you have to do as a parent, as a working woman. Like there is just a lot to manage.
Absolutely. And it's important to give an idea of what it can look like for a working parent. I love designing a day that does maximize my best hours to align with my kids' best hours. So it's great you bring up that 3 to 5 window. Kids are so excited. And then, of course, the right before bedtime is when kids are not at their happiest or most pleasant, and neither am I by that hour. So it's great to maximize the other hours of the day.
Yeah, that's true. But I think as a couple, it's important also to understand who has strength or challenges in different hours of the day. That's something that you learn as you're getting older, right? So I'm a morning person. I take care of most of it in the morning. The evening, much less. So Hannes has so much more patience when it comes to putting them to bed. So he takes care of this part. And it's divide and conquer. You can't be great at all hours of the day. It works better this way.
It takes a village sometimes, whether that's in our family or au pairs and other family that we reach out to for help. It's very important to access that when we need it. I'm curious what travel and then family life and funding the journey looked like before Boundless.
Before Boundless, so we were already living abroad, right? So we've always had this taste of like beyond travel. It's about also experiencing cultures like in everyday life. That's always been part of kind of the family's ethos, I would say. We did enjoy traveling, obviously, during our holiday, but it was a lot more of a traditional 2 weeks holiday here, 1 week holiday here, and generally not the most optimized. I think the challenge when you're doing like shorter holiday is just more costly, right? Like that's always been one of the frustration, which is just like, why do I have to go with everyone else? Like back then, we were living in Japan for 5 years. So the good thing is that we had a lot of accessibility to Asia. And I think as a family, it's just such an easy continent as well. Because people are so friendly, they love kids, like kids are not a nuisance, they're just the beauty of life. And so when you go to the restaurant, you'll have people just helping and holding them. So that's how we were traveling back then. But I wouldn't say like it was, again, the most optimized way financially because holiday were just more expensive when we had to just follow the normal pace of life.
Take me back to where Boundless Life began, because you're one of the co-founders, and I was looking it up, but I'd love if you could share with the audience where the idea originated.
Boundless started in 2021 already, and so you're right, like around COVID time. And so for many people, it's been this realization of what is the meaning of life? What do I want to do with my everyday? How do I connect with my children? And that was really one of the starting points, like having seen our kids also being homeschooled for some time because the schools were closed, having the realization of how the system was working more than ever. And then this dream of living a different life, a life that was more meaningful, more connected with the children. And that's how it all started. We started in Portugal. Mauro, the other co-founder, is Brazilian. So obviously he also spoke the language. Portugal is like one of the safest locations also in Europe. Very, very beautiful country. And that's how the adventure started. I think back in the day, there was this vision of launching across the world. And it was kind of a crazy one because the promise of Boundless is so complex and so multifaceted. We're basically offering, like, it's a turnkey solution. Boundless can help you to sort everything out from home, housing, education, co-working space. Mauro was in real estate before. Reka, the other co-founder, was in education. So she was in edtech. And then I'm coming more from a sales and marketing background. So 3 very different profile, all parents, all loving to travel, all from multiple cultures and just very similar values in general. And that's how we came together. We talked to a few families on Facebook groups who were also like excited to join the adventure. And the first cohort was February 2022 with 15 families. It was very chaotic at the start. It was very exciting, very startup feeling. And now we're more than 1,500 families in the community. So it's a big movement, and it's quite beautiful to see how many families have joined it.
And it's been fun to watch the hub locations expand over the years. I'll go through the list for people that aren't aware. Estepona, Spain. Japan is the new one this year. Sintra was the original in Portugal, which is a beautiful location. I went there as part of a pop-up hub couple years ago. The moody clouds with the castles, it was perfect. Syros, Greece, Italy, Bali, Kotor, Montenegro, and Uruguay. Let's see, 3 or 4 continents there, which is amazing. How were those locations picked? And also, I'm curious what the future might look like in terms of locations.
Choosing the location is a very, very fun part and very complex also part of building Boundless. So 8 locations now. It's a mix of intense study of the location and also very, very strong gut feel. Does it feel good or not? And then eventually we validate them with all the families. So we have this huge spreadsheet with like hundreds of criteria. We have identified what's important for the families in terms of obviously safety, proximity to airports, easiness to travel, Wi-Fi access, restaurants, access to nature. There are so many different criteria. And then once we have like a short list of location, we basically go there. So we started in Sintra, right? So Mauro really loved that location. And then the second one was Greece. And the first place we went to in Greece was another island. We went there and it was this, I'm not sure. And there we met some people who told us, have you been to Syros? And we're like, Syros? What is it? It's just a 30-minute ferry ride. So just went to Syros. And Syros, you step a foot there and it's magic. Everyone will tell you it's just magic. I think that's part of the secret recipe is to be like very, very meticulous on those criteria. Like there are a lot of non-negotiables, but also we want to find those hidden gems, like places that will make people feel all the feels. They'll be coming there and they'll feel like at home, but also some kind of magical element to it. And then usually we have forums with the community every 6 months and we kind of talk about the future locations together. We send surveys and the families tell us where they want to go next. So that's how Japan came. Japan has always been very on top of the list. And so we've been working on it for some time. And then eventually we could launch it in January. We are working on like additional locations for Latin America because we only have one and we're trying to build clusters. Now, Latin America is tricky from a safety standpoint. We're choosing our locations meticulously there. And Mauro is originally from Brazil, so he knows the region very, very well. And then there are some other locations that people have been talking about. France is one of them. France is very, very complex to launch into. So more to come, definitely. A lot more exciting locations coming up.
It's worth following on social media and the newsletters so you can see when these other locations do launch. Actually, for someone that is just tuning in, just learning about Boundless Life, what is all included? You mentioned Turnkey, and I think that's really important to note that how much is included in this opportunity.
When we started Boundless, We were asking families what was like the most important and the most challenging also when they were traveling. And two things came up, and those are really the two core pillars of the Boundless experience. The first one is the education program, having a consistent experience for the kids. And some families, like I think there are a lot of different world schoolers out there. Some families really want to have like a more structured approach and something that's follow the kids wherever they go along their journey. And that's what the Boundless education program is offering. So we've worked a lot on the Boundless education program, and we have Boundless teachers who are on location like all year long, and they love welcoming children every 3 months and teaching them. That's the first core pillar. The second one is the community. Often when you're traveling around, it's really hard to make new friends. It takes time. And so what we've created is like those hubs where you have between 25 and 35 families who just come together, spend time together, and make immediate connections, like-minded families who really love to travel. So we organize a lot of activities for the families to get to know each other, a welcome event, farewell event, and then a lot of cultural activities that punctuate their stay. You will feel like after a few weeks, like you're making closer friends than, people you've known for 10 years back home. And then around that, Boundless is also coordinating like all of the more logistical element of the experience. So that's helping you finding a home. And then everything is already set up. So you don't have to worry about utilities. You don't have to worry about cleaning. There is an issue, you can just call us. The local team is here to help. You have access to a co-working space. This is really a lovely place where everyone gathers, work together. There is a lot of freedom within the experience. You design your boundless life the way you want it.
We're planning on being in Japan for a couple weeks before and a couple weeks after, doing the 6-month digital nomad visa. And I'm already overwhelmed trying to plan just a couple weeks on my own on each end of the cohort. So I can see why families love to plug and play. Like, I know where I'm going to be for a couple months. I know the kids' education will be well taken care of, the activities, the community. And maybe the last thing about Boundless, is there a memorable moment from a past hub? Maybe it's if you were at the opening ceremony for the Japan one, or if there's any other memorable moment from a hub that brings to life what the experience is like for families.
So definitely for me, like the Japan launch has been very emotional just because it's a country that is so close to my personal story. That's where 3 out of my 4 kids were born. This is a country that is just resonating very much with who I am. And launching in Japan is a big, big step for us. At Boundless. Like Japan is on the other side of the world. Like it's such a different culture, and everyone will tell you it takes years to launch in Japan if you want to do it properly. It took us 8 months and a half. It was very, very quick with the right people. It's just been so beautiful, and I think it only could happen because we were 4 years in. So Boundless now is really like we're getting our groove and we start knowing how to do things. So it's been very, very special just to be there. The first time I stepped a foot in the hub, I had tears. Like I couldn't move. It was very emotional. But one of my favorite moments in general on location is what we call boundless connections. So at the start of the cohort in the first week, we usually get the families together. The kids are at the education center. The parents come together and we talk about our why. Why are we here? And it's not something we talk about very often in everyday life. So it's just always such a magical moment where everyone takes the time, pauses, and reflects on why they've made this big step in their life, what drove them here. People are getting vulnerable, are sharing. And this is what creates the depth of connection, I think, on a cohort. You get to know people really, really well. And those are beautiful human beings who are just very brave, want more out of their life. They don't always know what. And that's fine. But they want to ask themselves questions. They don't take anything for granted. And I think that's the beauty of this world schooling community, is just being curious about the world and asking questions, not just wanting answers, just asking questions.
Very well said. I also like to touch on some of the challenging parts of choosing a nomadic lifestyle or opening basically an international business. What are some challenges that you're experiencing right now?
It's definitely not always perfect. I think there's been there's been moments of doubts on whether that lifestyle was was right for the family. So going back, for instance, my mother is very supportive of the whole journey that we're on. My father, much less. I think many families, when you're taking that big step, have judgment that's happening around this lifestyle. It's good, it's bad. There is a lot of preconceived ideas that are put onto it. And I think it's hard to navigate those as you are yourself also making those big decisions for your family. There are a lot of doubts. So I've had to had hard conversation with my father about it, and trying to explain him what kind of values I'm trying to raise my kids with, and like what is important for us as a family, being like the starting point, really. Like, I want them to actually be able to make their own choices. I want to teach them that it's possible, so that everyone on this planet will have different opinion on what a beautiful life looks like. But those conversations have been really, really hard, I think, along the way. And we're still having that. So still navigating this as we speak. I just want to encourage everyone who is going through it to, I think there are a lot of conversations within the community about that. And the community in general is very supportive also to navigate those moments. Parents joining us on cohort. And on the other side, like, they've been amazed by this lifestyle and being like, oh, I wish I could have done that with my children when I was younger. But it's not always the case. Not always everyone is supportive of these lifestyles. Having conversations and being patient with people who might be from different backgrounds and different ages.
Exactly. I like that you mentioned finding people that have similar values and similar things that they want to do with their family can be very helpful. Absolutely. But let's also touch on a win. What's been working really well for you, your family, or the business?
I think one of the beauties of this lifestyle has been to see the relationship between my children. Back in the days when we were more like static, very quickly the girls were evolving within their circles. So they had each of them their set of friends. So my oldest was hanging out with her friends who were all the same age, and my second with the same age. And it was like really this batching and of kids, and they didn't like interconnect as much. The beauty of traveling is that the relationship between the siblings is really amplified. The memories that they're creating together, the hurdles that they're going through together just gets them really, really close to each other. This is also something that we're trying to support in our education centers, getting like the older kids to help with the little ones and the little ones to learn from the bigger ones, because that's just how life is, right? So I've loved seeing the girls growing together and having those strong relationships. I'm hoping that they keep that forever in their life. But I think that's been like one of the beauty. And also selfishly having more time with my partner, like having that lifestyle. We've been able to have lunches together. Being remote, we can carve out some time like we didn't back in the days. And so I think from a personal standpoint also, as a couple, it's been great to be on the road, and it gives some spices as well. Like, life changes and there is no routine that settles in. So I think like from a personal standpoint, it's been amazing.
Yes. Travel gives couples a lot of things to talk about and ups and downs to navigate.
True.
But like you said, with the siblings, they really do spend time together in situations that maybe we couldn't have even envisioned for them if we were in a stable situation. And so it does give them a lot of opportunities to bond, which I love seeing that too in my boys. They have a lot that they share with each other. And I just think the traveling piece really is a big part of that. Let's wrap up with a lightning round. Let's start with best or worst food you've ever had.
There's both in Japan. The best one is the best, for me, the best ramen. Food will make me the happiest ever. I could just live on ramen my whole life. And obviously the best one is in Japan. The worst one is natto. Have you ever tried natto, Susie?
No, I'll have to this fall.
Maybe you will. Yeah, it's fermented beans. It's the stinkiest, stickiest, and strongest food you will ever taste. So I think, yeah, you'll definitely need to try when you come to Japan, and tell me what you think about it.
Perfect. I'll have to report back. And absolutely, I'm so looking forward to the ramen. I could eat that every day. What is one item that you cannot travel without?
Oh, so that has actually changed in the first year when the girls were younger. And that's going to sound like a really weird item. I was traveling with those bed tents, those IKEA bed tents. They're super like compact. And that was the first thing that I would put in the kids' bedroom. And they would feel at home immediately. So they each had their color and I would set them up and it was like, we have our own bedroom. So that's a really, really important one. And then there are also some spices that we bring along that I know that I wouldn't be able to find.
Very important. And we'll wrap up with what's one piece of advice for a family just starting out on their travel journey.
I know that there is a lot of worry when we're doing this and like, is it right? Is it going to be right for the family? Try to set that aside because at the end of the day, you're not traveling for a lifetime. You're not committing to a lifestyle forever. You're trying something for your family for a few months and then you'll see how it goes. You can always go back if it doesn't feel right for you, for the kids. I think it's just de-dramatizing the whole thing and just going for it. We have a tendency to be very serious with life in general. Like life choices are really important and big things. But just try it. You can always go back to your old lifestyle if that feels better for you. I think that would just be my simple, humble advice.
Yeah, life is one big experiment and we're just trying out new things. And if it sticks, great. If it doesn't, we'll pivot. And I like that flexibility mindset as well.
That's right.
Elodie, this has been great. Where can people connect with you?
I think the best place for people who are interested in seeing a little bit more about Boundless will be our Instagram account. A lot of the families are sharing as well, so you can see and feel a little bit more. And then if people want to ask questions and maybe have a chat with some of our reps who are all living the Boundless life, then they can do it via the website. So you just go on boundless.life and then you'll be able to connect with them, have a chat and see whether that's right or not for your family.
I thought that step was so helpful to be able to get on a call and ask whatever questions you have one-on-one with a real person. Of course, the website has a ton of information too, but being able to actually talk to someone was a very important first step. I'm glad that you have that set up for people. I'll make sure to link all that in the show notes. Thank you.
Thank you.
What a great episode. Want more? Join us for the virtual World Schoolers Meetup on March 19th. We'll be connecting at 7 a.m. in California, 8 a.m. in Denver, 10 a.m. in New York, 3 p.m. in Central Europe, and 10 p.m. in Vietnam. We can't wait to see your faces and hear about your adventures. Sign up in the show notes. Loving the show? Share it with a travel buddy. See you next time.